Okay, let's try this again. Probably, I hope the same thing doesn't happen. I would like you to look at some signs, and I guess I'm just not going to have this power cord in this thing, because, yeah. Okay, signs, 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 signs. Okay, now, I am going to read you some cards. Now, I have mentioned before that I am having, I don't like this either, intermittent internet. And so my phone came to life last night or this morning at 4, right when I was winding down to go to sleep. So I could have stayed up and done, well, no, I couldn't have, or I would have. I was just exhausted when it came to life, and I was like, really? Now? Okay. So, I pulled from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck, number 11, Deep Quiet, and the subtitle is Meditation and Stillness. So, wow. You know, there's a figure in this, and it just sort of looked like there's a, I think it was on Nickelodeon, a series called Avatar, and I never watched it. I probably should. I hear it's pretty good considering the stuff I'm into. I guess a lot of it's in there. But I know that the main character is a boy, and I believe he's like a monk child or something, like a Buddha facsimile. And he seems to, if I remember right, he has like a tattoo on his head of like an arrow. But sometimes he doesn't. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't watch it, so I don't know what that's about, the arrow or any of it. But I noticed there's a figure in the background here, and it looks to be adult. Like you could even maybe see a beard happening, unless it's smoke that's conveniently beard shaped. But the eyes, I'm just gonna put this closer so that you can see, or what see, it changes in front of the camera from my unaided eyesight, but to me, it looks like the eyes have like a redness around them. So it's a pretty easy to pick out head. It's got like the beard that I was talking about there, and mustache and white. You can see ears, right? You can see the dome of the head. So rather than the arrow, though, there's some sort of stuff here happening that you see the flare there of, that would be like white hot heat. I was gonna say would be what I think, but I'm telling you now, it is what I think it is, a flare of white hot heat. Or I mean, it would be like super heated, but I think it's more light than heat in this depiction. And if you notice, there is a little sort of line of travel from this guy's forehead, about the third eye area-ish, and it's kind of flamey, and it's just bursting out of his head. And then also, it almost looks like he's either catching something or tossing something, like from the articulation of this hand. And it's kind of hard to tell. Like, obviously, this is the thing that it would be catching or tossing, whatever it is. Another manifestation of this business, like the super heated light. And it's more golden on the card than the camera is showing. But other than that, the color scheme is pretty much the same, which is unusual. But you know, it says meditation and quiet or stillness on here, and meditation does allow us to draw some pretty great things from ourselves. Like after a while, it begins to develop other unexpected abilities from us, or we just become more aware, or it's always a something is more. And I actually pulled 2 cards, and so the second one was Empty Well, and the subtitle on this one is Time to Replenish. And so, you know, I've been having this perspective thing with my eye, or with my vision, I should say. And oh wow. So here's something I never noticed before on this card. Is from a certain perspective, if you were looking down and you saw this, it would look like water, and it actually looks like water, like it all kind of makes sense for a well, but there's also sparkles and spangles in there, and it's in like almost a grid pattern. And I have said before that this white central part looks like a star cluster with arms, but maybe it's just moonlight or sunlight, but there is rain looking, droplet looking things happening here. So I'm thinking it's one of those weird sun rain situations, maybe, because I feel like this golden ring here is like reflecting, is a reflection, light is reflecting off of it, I think is what I'm trying to say. And it seems like, I mean, I could go with the superheated light thing again here in order to explain why this is molten looking, because it's very confusing. And I did pull the 3rd card from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. Let's look at that a little bit longer. And that card was Turtle. Turtle! No, I almost knocked over my drink, so yeah, turtle, not turtle! Excuse me. What was that? You know, I've noticed something. I noticed it a while ago, and I haven't said it out loud before, but if you watch animal videos, pay attention to the people laughing in the background. I swear, more people have that wheezy laugh, like I have sometimes, which is, to me, well, it's a thing. It's something that people do, certain people, like that, that wheezy laugh right there. Anyway, what does that have to do with anything? I just wanted to say it. Okay, so here's Turtle from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, and the turtle, well, it doesn't have a subtitle, so I think I'm going to start with this, actually. So, what the book says about the turtle is ancient soul, grounded, trusting, at home in the self. Well, you get old enough and you just don't care what anybody else thinks, and you get comfortable with yourself. That's not a guess. It is wonderful to be in the presence of a turtle personality. Like the beaver, the turtle has a strong relationship with the earth and water elements simultaneously. This helps to ground and connect them to the deeper truths of life, no matter where their travels lead them. That intonation was all crazy. No matter where their travels lead them. Turtle energy is behind all great writers and storytellers as they collect life experiences under their shells for later use. The most potent turtle energy helps us close all the other books and begin to tell our own true tale. I mean, like I said, you get old enough and you get comfortable enough with yourself. Although, I don't know if literal temporal age has as much to do with it as the ability to have experiences and understand them as more than what was just what just happened, but also as something to be learned from. No matter if it's good, like you feel like it's a good experience or something less than that, you eventually come to a point where it just all is something like, oh, that happened, and what have we learned today about that? And not, to use a colloquialism, trip out. I have not reached that site or that place, but it's in my sight. It's a goal, because I really do have an inability to keep a lid on my emotions, to quote somebody that just had that to say about it. I'm a passionate, turbulent person. It's not easy to keep the lid on. Anyway, and I don't think that's only true of me. I think that's true of people of all ages, as with the wisdom that I was talking about, that, you know, this symbolizes that ancient soul. And along with that, I mean, experience, you just learn. And also, I think we all eventually are able to reflect and understand that the older we get, the less some things matter and the more other things matter. And I feel like the things that we let go and allow to drop away are like loud, noisy, messy things that interfere with our ability to attain balance or maintain it like all the time. Easily excitable, I think, would characterize the great mass of us, probably for a long time in our lives, until we get a whiff of that ancient wisdom. And I mean, it makes it in a way easier to deal with things like mass death, tragedies of whatever stripe, because you can be philosophical about it. And that's a lot easier to do when the war's in another continent and none of your people are involved in it. But again, the goal is to get to the place where, you know, even if that were the case and it was completely personal, you're not fazed by it in a way that is debilitating, you know? So yes, I'm not there yet, but goals. Because peace and balance sounds so good, especially to, I'm like the cat person with the Chihuahua personality or sensibilities. So I don't think that that's a description of just me. So in order to deal with that inability to keep a lid on the emotions and not bubble over, there are tools. There are techniques, and both of them are reflected on here: meditation and quiet or stillness. You got to go back to it. And when I say you, I mean me, but yeah, I got to go back to it like over and over. And you know, sometimes I don't want to go out, and it's just a feeling. It's not like that anything happened, but that happens a lot of times. So but what I like to do is get outside and get my bare feet on the ground for grounding, because it helps. But when I feel like I don't want to go out, I have to really like give myself a big pep talk to get myself out there and do it. And out there is not far in most cases. If I'm sitting in my recliner just around the corner here. Like, I'm in an apartment. This place is not huge. And if I'm in my chair, it's right next to the sliding glass door, which leads to my decklet, little tiny concrete slab, and then grass. So if I'm in my chair, it's about 6 feet away. So it's not really a hardship to get out there and do it. It's just that I don't know, like sometimes I feel too tender to go outdoors, you know? But if I'm like getting like sort of rattled feeling and it's all the time, I have to go out. Like, I don't care if there's a monster out there. I gotta go. And it helps with this being able to attain the stillness, and that's not just me. It has that effect on like pretty much everybody that does it and is receptive to the idea that it's going to be helpful, because you got to kind of connect with that earth energy for it to be beneficial. You can't be all like, I'm standing on the dirt, nothing's happening. Well, you got to like open up your end of the circuit and empty. Well, that's like that. Well, I was going to say it's like that rattly time, and then I changed my mind and was going to say it's not. But, you know, maybe in a different way it is, because whatever is happening here, whatever is the dimples on the surface that is visible on here, it is like a straight grid. It is so perfect. It's not random looking at all. And that just made me think of my question before about how is this superheated light, if that's what I want to call it, with a grid under it, it could be some sort of mechanism superheating it. That would make sense. Now it's just turning into like a nuclear thing or something, but I can't imagine what else would generate something this small appearing could generate something that would make the surrounding area molten looking. Like, I feel like it's generating a lot of heat. Oh, wow. So there's a circle on this side, this golden circle, and this is bigger, but it's a weird thing. You see there's a circle also on there that's sort of goldish yellow. I don't know. It's in like that mustard range, I guess. But holding it this way, I told you my perspective is crazy. Holding it this way and seeing this circle on here, it's like nesting inside of the circle on this side of the screen. Right here, it's the weirdest sensation. Oh my God. And this has a circle field in it too. It's much darker. It looks like, why don't I want to say topaz? I think topaz is purple. It looks like lapis. It's the color of lapis, at least. This business. So that's interesting. Circle, central yolk. And then also, so yeah, I was like messing with something in my brain. So, what does that have to do with anything else? Well, I think that, I'm gonna like diagnose 91.5% of this country and say they're flipping the flip out. And it's so widespread and diverse manifestations of I don't know. I think we're all like sort of on the edge feeling, because there's like a lot of things happening all around the world, in our own countries, and even down to the macro level of our lives. There is, I want to say, a feeling of like a tipping point of anticipation that like something is going to happen. And we know elections are coming. We know in the U.S., and we know that there's lots of excitement on the legal scene for like political trials, cases with the former president and associates of his around the whole fake voting and stolen election stuff and fraud about all of that, and or threading throughout it, I should say. And we had a while where we didn't have a Speaker of the House, which kind of dictates 1/3 of our legislative system. It was out of commission for a while, and I felt like, somebody somewhere is real happy about this dysfunction. But on the other hand, what it did was give a bunch of us time off from work. And then, like, someone like me who has no clock to punch in that regard or connection to government still felt like that gap of industry, that busyness that I know is the norm for Washington. So to have no Speaker of the House, well, legislation was not getting done because nothing could be passed. And we had important things, that have been hanging around waiting to get dealt with. And then, it was sounding like some things that had been out of reach and needed to be dealt with, like appointments that senator from, I think, Georgia was holding back because he was being a religious fanatic about stuff, and people in the army, and like, man, mind your garden. You can't project what people are going to be, say, and do because it doesn't agree with your religious sensibilities. I don't know. It's like not having children and coming along to someone, maybe strangers, maybe someone you are familiar with, and those people have kids, and coming along and telling them how to raise their kids when you don't have any and you don't know what it's like to have them, let alone raise them. So the Speaker is like that, very much interested in what other people that are not himself or his family that he could even have any real say in business, or rightful, I should say, in the business of those people. And it's like religious based, and then this, not only is this guy like got notes on how we're supposed to live our lives and what procedures we should have or not, he decided that the whole country should have the religion he has. And it's like, hi, you work in the government, check your new employee notes. That's not a thing in this country. You're not even supposed to be religion. But you know what? There's a freaking chaplain, I keep calling it a chaplain in the Congress or Senate, I don't know, but maybe both. Maybe they visit both houses. I don't know, but they're not supposed to be doing religion in the government. So, I mean, I feel like the argument there has already been lost. Like somewhere along the line, people were like, screw it, let's just break this rule. Let's not even legislate it. Let's just do it because we want to. Yeah, why not follow the rules? Isn't that the right thing to do? Sorry, tangent. But there's disquiet in people because of stuff like that. And then, obviously I'm on the side of the left, if you can't tell from what I'm saying and what I'm bothered by. And understand, have your religion. I don't really care. Knock yourself out, because it don't have nothing to do with me. But don't try to impose yours on me. You don't know what's going on with me. You don't know what kind of spirituality I got going on. I might have all kinds of religion. You just don't know. It's insane to impose your will on people like that. And we have rules, supposedly. So, like, Stop being all, I'm moral, and you stop doing that, and you need to hear God, and then you're just busting rules left and right. I don't know, like, I am going to go with the ones that suit me and everyone, not the ones that you decide everyone should have, whether it suits them or not. I disagree. And, like, obviously, that's a little bit of a trigger for me. And so, possibly a lot of us are feeling as I do and are on that level that I was just talking about, have some sort of issue with some sort of societal matter that in some way touches me or I care about in some way. And I think I'm not alone in this. And I think that there's a lot of energy, like defensive and offensive energy, that it gets put out, that we're throwing out against each other or to each other. I think both ways happen, and we don't always know we're doing it in the way that I'm talking about. Like, you can say stuff and get mad and buy all the flags and the shirts and the hats and the bumper stickers and show your colors, but some of us don't need all of those trappings. We're all different. But the point is we're receiving the energy or we're giving it out. If it's positive, well, you don't really hear so much about people wandering around a Trump rally just trying to be positive for the sake of everyone, but maybe we should have some insertion people to do that. Not to impose any sort of ideology either way, no opinion, just walk through and be positive, pleasant, and nice. You don't have to love what people say to you, or you don't have to love what's being said around you. I don't know. I mean, it's just a wacky idea, but just like wander through and change the vibe, you know? That's probably not going to happen. But I don't know. Someone might think it's a good idea. Would I do it? Yeah, I think I would if there was one around me and I could get to it. I don't think I'd have a problem with that. But you know, that's a dream. And it kind of got me away from my point, but energy going back and forth, and it could be good energy, it could be not the best energy. Either way, the giving and the sending spends energy. We are expending our vital energy doing that, right? And then exposure to stuff that we don't have to expose ourselves to. We do a lot, like watching the news or documentaries or, you know, true crime podcasts and shows about murder, basically. We're just, if you think about it, giving ourselves a really terrible diet of input a lot of times. And it can be hard to escape all of it and hard to pull ourselves away, which is when we get rattled inside and it becomes time to replenish by doing our meditation and, you know, just attaining that stillness, which means you got to stop and shut all that other stuff out. So I'm going to quickly read from the Deep Quiet cards, whatever, pages in the guidebook. Deep quiet, meditation, stillness, clarity. When deep quiet appears, it is a message from the cosmos calling you to stillness, to step outside the concerns of your everyday life. This does not mean to slow down and take a breath, although that's a good start. The cosmos is inviting you to go deep, to that place where the noise stops and there's only the vast emptiness of inner space. Stillness. When we don't respond to the invitation offered by deep quiet, life can stop us in our tracks with an illness or a crisis. Listen to the still small voice. Make stillness so the voice can be heard. It is beneficial to your sanity. That's just my insertion there. Listen to the small, still voice. Remember that you want to catch spirit on a whisper, not a shout. It is only human to shout, to argue that you are too busy to slow down, that you don't have the time. Because you're arguing with somebody about politics or ideology. Just saying. And it is only human to argue that you are too busy to slow down, that you don't have the time, the inclination, or the money for a retreat. Do not let any of these reasons get the better of you. Stop the world and enter the deep quiet before you come to a crashing halt. After you have said yes to this invitation, you will find that the world can get along quite well without the need for you to manage it. You will enjoy the freedom that comes with the stillness, the clarity and spaciousness offered by the silence. Doesn't that sound pleasant? The stillness and spaciousness to be found in silence? Do you ever go for just the deep silence? I mean, I'm talking like to someone that doesn't regularly meditate or at all. Or at all, like officially, like meaning to do it and following some template. But there's also, besides passive meditation, there's active meditation where you get engrossed in a task. Like, I discovered it years ago, and it was, I would accompany a friend of mine to her job. She had a job that was at night, so I would go hang out with her. And she got me into crocheting, and man, you could sit there and just get lost in it. Like, the whole rest of the outer world just disappears. It is amazing. And the first time it happened, maybe we were talking, probably we were also talking while we're sitting there, and she was, having to do her job as well. But it wasn't at all busy, so she could sit there and crochet. I could do whatever I want because I wasn't on the clock there. I was just hanging, but we had time to sit there and do that. And I realized the first time it happened that probably about an hour went by before I realized it. It was like I didn't even notice, and that is amazing. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but it is amazing. Okay, so I'm going to read the empty well card. Nothing here, time to replenish, diminishing yourself for another. The empty well reveals that there's nothing for you here. What are you cheering for? Are you sure it's worth your time and energy? The well is dry, and the desert is encroaching on your once fertile garden. It is time to face this harsh reality and move on. Give gratitude and thanks for the abundance. Those experiences I was talking about earlier would be part of your abundance if you are able to recognize it as such. You have experienced, and let spirit guide you to the next. Give gratitude and thanks for the abundance you've experienced, and let spirit guide you to your next destination. This might mean saying goodbye to someone or something, or insisting on changing the rules of the game. Stop diminishing yourself for the sake of another. Making yourself small will not produce the results you want. Stop backing up sources that are not backing you up back. If it's asking you for money, for instance, constantly, over and over. How do you feel when someone or a family member does that to you? You get to the point where you're like, dang, what are you doing with the money, and why don't you have your own, and stop asking me eventually. I think it's a natural progression eventually. Making yourself small will not produce the results you want. There's a lack of reciprocity of give and take. The empty well tells you that it is time to reclaim your Reclaim what is yours. To reclaim your what is. To reclaim what is yours and remain up and return what does not belong to you. Now my reading is just turning into, what's that word fixing thing on your phone? Word supply. That's not what it's called, but anyway. The empty well tells you that it is time to reclaim what is yours and return what does not belong to you. The shadows cast in your direction are not of your own making. Don't ride the shadows, please. You do not need to react or respond to them, as they are not real. See? Simply shine your light upon them and see how it dispels them. Some people who have sunglasses on don't want to see light. These shadows are projections that you are confusing for reality. You may have been offered a shovel to help you dig yourself out of an uncomfortable situation, a bucket to drink from the well, but you cannot dig yourself out of this hole. Remember, there's no water to be found in the well. Well, it wasn't today. Today it was like a nuclear reactor, which does have water. Receive the empty well as a gift. Do not exert your energy and waste your resources by repairing the walls or mending the rope. Don't waste your energy. Don't exert your energy and waste your resources. Again, Follow the watercourse way, the aquifers that run deep in the earth, and you will be led to a new spring oasis. You can feel these underground streams, these rich natural resources in the subterranean depths of your own heart. It should be your guide in all things. We often discount those intuitive feelings that often are coming from the heart or felt in the heart to our detriment because we second guess ourselves. But think about this as I wrap up. How many times have you had that experience where your first impulse is to do something and then you stop yourself and go, oh, I don't know if I should do that because if I do that, this will happen, and if that happens, if this happens, that'll happen. And then later you're like, oh, I knew it, I should have done the first thing. That is the lesson right there. It's like, that is like you're telling yourself the lesson. Tell me that has not happened to you. That has to have happened to you. It's happened to everybody. So, yeah, that wearing ourselves out over causes is ideologies or fruitless pursuits. Fruitless pursuits. The ancient energy knows patience and waiting, and that this too shall pass. So it's not perturbed because it knows, like life is like a snapshot or multiple snapshots. It's not like a continuous long moment because moments end. And so the ancient wisdom will tell us not to invest too much in something outside of ourselves, and that whatever is happening, it has an endpoint somewhere along the line that will eventually arrive. So I don't know, like just stepping back and giving, like sleeping on it, kind of meditating, stepping away, giving yourself distance and perspective in this time where we can all be so excitable. And then I just realized, okay, well, first of all, Saturday was a full moon eclipse, and then also the holiday season is coming. I would think that that might be sparking some anxiety for some people. Okay, I am going to stop talking now. Thank you and good night.